Welcome to Local Talk, a part of our Decision 2022 coverage of the local elections here in Granville County. My name is Trey Snide. Our weekly discussion with Vance Johnson. He is the candidate for Granville County Sheriff right now. How are you today?
Oh, doing good. How about you?
We're doing fantastic. I appreciate you. Again, we're going to be doing this every single week leading up to the upcoming election. But again, we'll start with this, the introduction. What, for those by chance have not heard of Mr. Vance Johnson, let's introduce you once again.
I want to start out because I think it's important to start out talking about the passing of David Richardson. And, you know, I can't say that I knew him extremely well, but we had some long conversations, and he was a genuine guy. You could tell that immediately. And I know that loss will be felt over Granville County in its entirety. So, you know, my prayers are certainly with the family and the community, because he will be missed.
And I appreciate that. And he was a great man. Like you mentioned, he did so much for the community, a lot of stuff that people are not really aware of. Did so much for the schools, was a good supporter of here at the radio station. But, again, I heard the news this morning, and it really broke. You know, I didn't know what to do. I was kind of in the shock. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And again, our prayers and thoughts goes out to his wife and his family and stuff like that.
It really makes you think. It humbles you.
That's right.
And it made me think of, you know, something that don't sweat the small stuff, because it's all small.
That's a great point. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, well, good deal. So let's do a little
introductions. Yeah. Vance Johnson. I'm running for sheriff, and it's, you know, I've got very close to 30 years of law enforcement experience. I've done just about everything in law enforcement, from patrol officer to K-9 officer to drug officer to investigator, and I've been the commander of all of those different units. I'm a K-9 instructor. I'm a general instructor. I taught in BLET for more than 2 decades, mainly the legal blocks in that, and commanded a SWAT team. You know, started an interdiction team, and I was a police chief at 2 different agencies. So, you know, I've managed, but not only managed, but introduced budgets and managed them. You know, I've hired and fired when needed, and disciplined when needed. And I think that's, you know, that's me. And, you know, I'm a Granville County resident, obviously, but, you know, my family lives here as well. My wife, my 2 daughters. Grown. I don't like to admit that sometimes, you know, but and 3 grandchildren. You know, I was on the phone today, and one of them was in the background. Wow. Hey, pops, you know. So
3 grand. Oh, bless you.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say. Bless you. I have one with a 5-year-old, and I know the feeling. So
yeah.
Man, it's a lot of work. Again, Vance Johnson joins us here. He's candidate for Granville County Sheriff. This is our weekly discussion leading up to the local election. So you talked a little bit about it. The experience side, kind of briefly there, but I want to kind of dive deep more into that, because that's something that is coming up on a regular basis for every candidate. So let's kind of talk about the in-depth, if you can, your experience.
I think we can be, maybe specific examples would be helpful.
Perfect.
Right. I think that that is easier for maybe the citizens to understand when you can put specific examples there. You know, I heard a candidate talk about, you know, a transition team, bringing in, you know, experienced law enforcement officers as a transition team. I'll go ahead and tell you my transition team. It's me, myself, and I.
There you go.
And, you know, because I have the experience, you know, it's the right experience, the right choice. And I think that, you know, I don't need a transition team to understand how those things are going to work. And there's existing employees that are extremely helpful, I'm sure, to transition things. So, you know, that's certainly a little confusing, you know, saying that. So that's what you get with me. The transition day one is that I know what I'm doing, and, you know, we're going to start that process of changing things a little bit, obviously, because I'm a new person, but it's you know, it's a difference when you've done it, and I think that's what's critical. There's a difference there. So that's, you know, that's certainly one example. Transition team is me. use existing staff there that are certainly bright, intelligent, hardworking. Get those individuals in the right place, and they will certainly help you in any way that they can. So I think that's something that's being missed, and that's my goal, is to go about it that way. Experience. Talk about another example of that. I've actually hired people. I am the only candidate that has been responsible for the hiring process. Firing too, and
You got to do it.
and final discipline, and that type of thing. But there's a lot. There's been talk about, like, I know that the Democrat candidate has military experience, and he even talks about a law that allows him to transfer this and that, and I get that. I know what he's talking about because I've actually used it. Right? I've actually used it to hire people. So there's a difference there, right? And quite honestly, I'm very familiar with the law. So I'm not going to get into whether I think that fits or not. You can form your own opinion. But I have used it. And I think that it's important to realize that when you do something, you don't, it's hard to reimagine something when you've never actually done it. You've got to have the hands-on experience, because you're going to make mistakes and you're going to hit bumps in the road, and you're going to learn from those things. So when they come up again, you don't repeat them. That's what true experience is about. And that doesn't discredit any of the other candidates. That's not my intent behind any of this. I think that their experiences are valuable in their own way, certainly. I don't think that if I say that one has a correctional experience, that's not an attack on correctional officers, because quite frankly, I wouldn't expect to go in and be a warden of a prison, because I've never done that. Mm-hmm. So I think you've got to weigh out those things, and that's what the experience question is about for me. And I think that's very easy to do your research on that.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm sorry to cut you off. So why is it important? And you mentioned to have the in-depth and getting to know, or let people know that you have the right experience for to be the next Granville County Sheriff. Why is that important?
It is important because on day one, when you have an absolute major catastrophe in this county, I'd be willing to bet that I have some type of experience dealing with that. I already have relationships with FBI, DEA, SBI, all the chiefs in this county. So, calling in resources, knowing what resources to use. If you look at the school shooting, for example, in Texas, Lord, I hope that don't happen, right? We all pray about that all the time. But if that was to happen on day one, I know my resources and I know how to use them. Not only have I done those types of things, because I was a police chief with school resource officers, so I've handled those too. So that type of experience is valuable. I taught the very first program that dealt with after the Columbine incident. How were we going to respond to that? I instructed those classes all over the region. We don't want those things to happen.
Absolutely.
But certainly on day one, when it happens, a homicide investigation, I know what I'm doing. I'm very confident in what I'm doing. And, I have the experience to relate back to know which direction to go. I don't think that this is a entry-level position. I just, that bothers me to think that it could be an entry-level position. And again, not to say that any of the other candidates are bad people, because I don't think they are. I really don't. Win, lose, or draw, I'm a law enforcement professional. I can work with whomever and will. I think that's, important for the citizens to know. that I am a law enforcement professional. Law enforcement is a profession, and I think you go back to citizen review boards. I've heard that said, and citizens need to be involved on a daily basis, and you involve them through neighborhood watch programs because they need to know. We need to know how to serve them, number one, and they need to know our capabilities because sometimes you can accomplish things and sometimes you can't. But I would never expect citizens to review what a doctor does. A medical review board does that. Attorneys, a bar does that. So law enforcement is a profession. You could never expect a citizen to look at a use of force incident and know whether that officer was allowed to do it or not. They're not trained in that. I think that, certainly the citizens have got to be involved, and they will be. But getting involved with opening personnel records, number one, is against the law. I've dealt with that, right? You can't bring in a transition team and open up personnel files. And, I think that, again, I've done those types of things, and that's why it's valuable to know what you can and can't do. And I think that's important day one. If somebody shows up at your house, Trey, on day one, and you've had some kind of major incident, I would hope that you'd want the most experienced person there. And I think that most citizens
I agree with you.
Would want that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Vance Johnson, candidate for Granville County Sheriff, and this is our weekly discussion, part of our Local Talk and Decision 2022. And the biggest thing and takeaway of this, ask questions. If you don't know, go ask questions. Ask every candidate a question, just to find out a little bit more interest, who's right for the job.
I agree. And like we were talking before we got started here, it's funny how you don't really hear a lot of questions. And, I wish citizens would certainly ask more when I'm out and about. But maybe they already know, so a lot of people have already gained that knowledge. So I think that's that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But questions certainly don't bother the candidates. So ask them.
That's what they're there for. I mean,
Sure.
they're there to do the right job.
Absolutely. Yes.
So the next kind of topic that I want to kind of discuss here today, really the pay-in structure, the pay structure for the agency, for the police department, and whatever. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
I think that Granville County Sheriff's Office employees, detention staff, civilians, are some of the lowest paid probably in the state. Okay,
Wow.
So when you start comparing entry-level pay, they're right at the bottom. And
That's a hard job to not get very much money.
well, and it is, but I mean, and you don't start this career looking for money. Okay, I started this making $17,500 a year. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
And you do it because you love doing it. If you don't like it and you don't love it, you're absolutely not going to stay in it. Mm-hmm. So money doesn't keep you so much. You certainly want to be able to provide for your family. That's your goal. But I think that's a huge concern. I saw, just the other day I saw something where they offered like a $5,000 bonus for detention officers for Granville County. I have dealt with pay issues. I have built pay issues, pay programs to build up pay. It's not all about raising starting salary. You got to deal with compression. You can look at benefits, health benefits, 401k. I think we have got to sit down and discuss those issues. Offering a sign-up bonus, I don't know where that come from, and again, not trying to discredit anyone at all. It is an absolute cheap Band-Aid, is what it is, that's going to fall off. And you are not addressing the issues of retention within the organization. In fact, you've probably upset employees because new employees now get more money. So I think that, and so I apologize to the detention staff that's there already. We need to do a better job of addressing that. I've done that on a number of occasions. And I've heard comments of, well, we can't compete with Wake County, Durham County. We already compete with Wake County, Durham County, and we're losing. The sheriff's office has lost more employees over the last several months than they probably have in years.
Wow.
And it's not all pay. It's not all pay. But we've got to work on that and be competitive. You've got to be competitive in that realm. And I've done that on a number of occasions, and I know several avenues that work, dealing with longevity and, that type of thing. I do not necessarily like sign-on bonuses because I think it hurts your existing employees. It builds some animosity when somebody comes in the door and they get a $5,000 check. And it creates issues. You get $5,000 over 18 months. We train you. Now you're a well-trained correctional officer, and you go down the road and make more money. Yeah. It creates more problems. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. That's a great point.
So you can fix that up front, but you got a lot of fixing in between. Mm-hmm. And again, I've done those things.
Vance Johnson, candidate for Granville County Sheriff, joins us here for his weekly discussion here on Local Talk and Next Door Radio, part of our Decision 2022. So we'd like to end this kind of segment, the last couple minutes. I give 2 minutes to really highlight anything that you want to make sure there's something on your mind or anything that you want to kind of have open floor for.
Yeah, I think Mr. Fountain and I love to talk, so you have to cut us off a lot of times, right?
That's why I give you 2 minutes. That's right.
You're holding your hand up over that way, then, right? Yeah, I think that over the next couple of months as the election draws near, and the public will get more involved and they'll want to know more as we get closer. I will be at the Hot Sauce Festival coming up. I'll be there all day except the morning, which I have something else going on, campaign related. And I will be at the Creedmoor Music Festival. We've got several meet and greets. We just finished one down in Creedmoor, which I thought was great. A lot of new people there. And we've got several of those planned. I'll have those dates next time we talk. As we get closer, we'll kind of roll those things out. If you want to get involved, you can, go to my website, VanceJohnsonForSheriff.com. You can go there and you can, find different ways to volunteer. Get involved. No matter who you get involved with, get involved. It's important. Even if it's on a small scale, I think it's anything is valuable because the candidates, not just me, it's a lot of hard work. And you can't do it by yourself. So if you like a candidate, get behind them and support them in some way. I think that's important to do.
Fantastic. Mr. Johnson, thank you so much. Again, God bless you. Thank you so much for what you do in the community, but what you stand for as well. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, this is Local Talk, part of our Decision 2022. He is a candidate for Granville County Sheriff. Vance Johnson. My name is Trey Snide. We'll see you later.